K-pop had one of the biggest nights yet at the American Music Awards, with BTS returning to the stage for the first time in 4 years. Artists like KATSEYE twice and even K-pop Demon Hunters taking home major wins. Joining us now is K-pop columnist Jeff Benjamin to break down K-pop's overseas sweep and everything that went down in Viva Las Vegas at the AMAs. Good morning to you, Jeff.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. For our listeners who weren't so lucky to be in Vegas to see it live, maybe we can begin with an overview. Before we get to the winners, give us a quick overview of the American Music Awards this year. What makes the AMAs unique? And historically, how visible has K-pop been at the show?
Yeah. So American Music Awards have been around since the 70s. This award show, it's one of the bigger music award shows in the US for sure. And the thing about this is that it's all fan voted. So while the nominees are found through like things like radio play and chart performance, the actual winners are decided by fans. And there's lots of voting that goes on beforehand, big voting competitions, always trying to put those fans together. But yeah, it's been an award show that's been around for a long time. And in terms of K-pop, we're just about getting to the 10-year anniversary with K-pop. In the past, we actually had Psy perform at the American Music Awards. I believe it was 2012 American Music Awards, when they used to be towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I remember just kind of, my mind being blown that Psy was closing this American Music Awards with a mashup of Gangnam Style and I believe it was MC Hammer's Too Legit to Quit.
Oh, I
If anyone remembers.
remember. Because I was hosting a different live radio show, and just like you, Jeff, I just remember being floored. He's performing where?
Right. It's such a cool moment, but
Yeah.
in the end, that ended up being a moment. What's been cool kind of for the last 10 years is that since 2017, when BTS made their US award show performance debut, when they performed DNA at the American Music Awards. This was their first time ever performing on an American award show. I remember watching it live. It was so exciting. But since then, BTS has consistently either been part of the show, been nominated at the show. Since then, K-pop's presence has expanded at the show. Now there's K-pop categories. So really, while we can definitely look back to 2012, I think it really became a presence in the last 10 years or so.
Jeff, not to age us, I feel like we're in the same age bracket, but, growing up, I think K-culture and K-pop required a little bit of PR. I had to, push my friends, even though I grew up in California, I had to excite them and entice them. Look how glorious is and I had to go to local Korean mart to buy CDs. Remember those guys? But we've come such a long way. Even when I was just getting started at Arirang, there was a little bit of PR involved. But now that's not required on my end. All I have to do is report on the wins and the glorious moments at the AMA. And I think that's really exciting.
It is. And I think, we'll get into it for sure. But
Yeah.
it is very cool to kind of see that it's not like this sort of, it doesn't feel like it's kind of something else that got added to the mix, I think in previous years, BTS kind of felt like an outlier in the
Sure.
sense that this is not something we're typically used to. It's very, unique. It needs a little of that, like you're saying, PR explanation to kind of warm people up. But what's cool is that it really felt like K-pop not only was part of the full conversation this year, but really got its due and was treated quite well, I would say, which I can't always say for BTS or any K-pop stars at award shows in the US, to be honest.
That could be a whole different conversation topic about who sets the rules, what is the American music market, but let's focus on the AMAs first today, shall we? Hive's global girl group KATSEYE also had a standout night as both performers and winners. I felt like it was kind of a slow burner at first, but now they kind of have our attention, don't they? How did KATSEYE do at this year's AMAs?
Yeah. With KATSEYE, I always go back to it was the 2024 Mama Awards, which were for the first time ever held in Los Angeles. And KATSEYE performed there. Their first, award show in that sense too. And they just had this over the top performance. They collaborated, I believe, with like the LA Rams, Cheer Squad. It was such a good performance. I remember thinking, the US is not ready when these girls get on stage for like one of the US award shows. And they really, really brought it. They have their new single, Pinky Up. And it was just this over the top, cotton candy explosion of just fun and color. They came out of a big pink teddy bear. They walked, they stomped right to the middle of the stage, just got right into their routine. There wasn't this like awkward transition of how to like get out of this teddy bear and get on stage and start the song. Really, really well done. Really so fun. And you heard their live vocals. They did really, really well. And I think they probably made a lot of new fans, I think. My colleague at Billboard ranked them the #1 performance of the night. So
Wow. So the approval is coming from the experts and the fans, and that's really exciting. A pink teddy bear, I think that gives them kind of a winning vote. I mean, that's so exciting.
Is- they did so well because they also won a bunch of awards. They won New Artist of the Year. They, along with a couple of, they were one of the biggest winners of the night with 3 awards. They, like we said, won Best New Artist, Best Music Video, and then they also won. Give me one second. I know it's there. But they were the Breakthrough Pop Artist of the Year.
Okay.
So they're really kind of getting their due shine, coming through in a big way. And actually, something that was a really cool moment was when they accepted their award. I believe it was for Best New Artist. They all 5 girls went on stage and said something in their native language, whether that was Chinese, Hindi, Korean, Spanish, and that was Tagalog. Really, really special to kind of see, and kind of like a new thing, that we get to see on US award shows. I don't think I've ever seen 5 different languages spouted out so quickly like that.
Side by side, right? But because one recipient usually might speak just 1 or 2 languages. And I think there's something to be said about what not just American music shows and award shows want to do, but I mean, we've talked about on the program the Oscar So White movement and kind of a demand led by essentially the voters, the Academy, and people who go to watch the movie, people who go to the concerts, people who invest money to listen to these music. They're demanding something different, diversity, be respected, and I think that the music world can respond to that in such a cool way. That's worth a moment.
And I love that too, because if you think about the American Music Awards are fan voted. So, it's the fans also, the audience that is kind of, saying this is what we want. This is who we're supporting. So very cool.
All right. Now, K-pop Demon Hunters, can we steer clear of it? Absolutely not, because it's still having a moment. They've won trophies at the Oscars, the Grammys, and so many more. Did the film also have a successful night at the AMAs?
They did. Representing, we didn't have the full Huntrix girls there. We had EJ and Rayami. But they got one of the biggest awards of the night with Song of the Year, of course, for Golden. They also got the Best Vocal Performance Award, as well as the Best Pop Song Award. So they came home with 3 as well. And again, super cool to kind of see, K-pop Demon Hunters get recognized. Best song is great. Best pop song is great. I thought it was very cool that they got Best Vocal Performance because I think it's kind of, taking it a step further to say, we're not just recognizing this as like a great pop song, a popular pop song. We're also recognizing that this is a great vocal performance. And I think EJ would definitely tell you that is not an easy vocal performance if anyone's tried to, hit those notes. So I was really happy to see them get recognized in that way.
So we have a really big singing room culture, 노래방s, and I went recently and I haven't gone in years, Jeff. It's like not my scene anymore. But my friends were visiting from the States and they wanted to go. So I went and they put on Golden. I said, no, who's winning? Who's winning trying to mimic EJ? It's not good for the ears. All right. Now, Twice is currently overseas on tour, but still managed to win big at the AMAs. And sometimes we forget because, a lot of these girl groups and boy bands are active in different parts of the world, different timelines, different fan bases. And so it's hard to keep track at times. Now, what does their continued success say about the group's staying power in the U.S. market?
Yeah, well, it was very cool to see Twice win Best Female K-Pop Artist. That was the award they won. Their first time winner at the AMAs, also the first time nominee And this was actually the first time the K-pop category was split up into a male and female category in that way, which some people have feelings about. I think, the more awards, the better. Why not? Technically, it also makes them the first female acts from the K-pop scene to win an AMA in that way. And they had some big competition. They had big groups like aespa and Islet and Blackpink, I believe, was also up there. The Seraphim. So, they had their competition really set out for them. And they came out on top. And even though they couldn't be there in person to accept, they just came off of a huge stadium tour in the US, starting, it started last year, continued throughout this year. And Twice being able to kind of snag that award was a cool moment, I think. And I'm really happy to see them get that award.
Wait, the Victoria's Secret fashion show was really recent, wasn't it? Where the Twice girls performed on the runway?
I think that was, November,
Okay.
December.
Time is just slipping through my fingers, Jeff. All right, now, can I ask you a bigger picture question? This, I think, felt like a landmark night for K-pop at the AMAs, as you've already rightfully suggested. There was a moment, maybe just a few years ago, where BTS was having a moment. They were getting a lot of radio play in American radios and people recognized their songs, but it almost didn't feel organic that it would segue into an abrupt K-pop song or a K-pop act. But now there are designated categories and just a bigger time slot allocated for K-pop, and that's really cool. Are we looking at a particularly exceptional year? Because I remember you saying there's just a lot of lineup. It's extensive this year. Or has K-pop now become, dare I say, a permanent force at major American award shows like AMAs?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's even talk about BTS real quickly at the AMAs because they did end up with the top award of the night, Artist of the Year. They won Song of the Summer, which I guess, they're going to get the Song of the Summer with their song Swim, and they won Best Male K-pop Artist. So they also got 3 awards as well. The top winners of the night all won 3. So that's K-pop Demon Hunters, KATSEYE, and BTS all with 3. And, what was kind of really amazing, I'm the first one to be a little skeptical of how everything is being, managed and promoted. But BTS was promoted as making a special appearance at the AMAs. And we knew that they were going to attend, but then they weren't on the red carpet. But they are in the midst of their world tour. And actually, the show opened with a performance previously recorded at their Las Vegas concerts a couple days prior of one of their songs, Hooligan. And that was actually shown for audiences. And then BTS did come on stage. They presented an award. They, of course, accepted their award for Artist of the Year. And, it kind of just felt like this homecoming. It was their first award show appearance in 4 years. And it didn't feel like, that we were kind of making amends or making some excuse to just put BTS on TV. They really felt quite natural and quite fun. And there was this genuine excitement and kind of energy that was going on at the show for BTS specifically. So I really love to see it. And I think thanks to their hard work, to be honest, especially at the AMAs, we're able to kind of see this all, make it work and come together. And I think the fact that, again, they kind of cut to the outside to show a BTS performance. They didn't have to walk the carpet. They came in late. And it was still this energy and this palpable excitement for them there. So, to kind of answer the question you're getting at is that I think because it's feeling so natural and there is this genuine energy and excitement, I think it's going to continue. I think, again, you need to kind of have the right artists and, BTS, KATSEYE, great examples, K-pop Demon Hunters. Everyone really did a great job at kind of, bringing the excitement, doing something unique. Nobody phoned it in, to say the least. And I think that needs to be it. I think that's what we need to keep seeing. And hopefully the AMAs and different award shows just kind of keep recognizing this diversity and sort of this energy and excitement that is coming from that. And hopefully it will continue. So, I hope so. I hope the fact it wasn't just a one-time, male, female K-pop artist sort of thing. Hopefully it'll just keep growing.
And as you've said on the onset of the segment, right, it is a fan-voted award show. So if the fans demand it, I suppose the momentum can continue. So for our dedicated K-pop fans, you know where the show's at, you know where your votes count. Go vote. It's not just for the political realm, it turns out. And what is K-pop without the fandom? Oh,
Absolutely. And it's not even that like it's just K-pop either. Like,
no.
we're seeing Latin's presence really grow at something like American Music Awards. There's an Afro beats category, folk Americana. All these things are really growing. So, it's K-pop is right up there with like, how this is all growing in that way. It's super exciting.
I'm just excited because I just like the idea of anyone, not just American listeners, but just kind of expanding their horizons. And music is such a natural way to segue into different cultures. I think it makes you more empathetic as a human being, and that is at the core.
You're speaking my language. Yes.
I knew you'd like it. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Jeff. Really appreciated it. We'll speak to you again soon. Have a great weekend.
All right. You guys too. Thank you.
Naturally, we have to play a BTS song, right? But we played Swim so much. How about that track, Hooligan? We'll be right back with Niall joining us in the studio for question unboxing.
Watch this, be dumb, we hooligan. We pop out, we acting awful pretty.